everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run here on youtube.com/UC Campbell. I am going to be leaving that as we are currently live streaming this to go along with everything. Yes, this episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle is going to focus around Monday Night Raw for October 19, 2017. But before we get into that, I will be throwing it out there in each one of these videos from here on in. There is a link down in the description. I will be doing a giveaway. I'm starting a giveaway for a 3-month WWE Network card. And also a few little extra knickknacks in there. There is a link in the description, so if you want to try to enter that, it will end on Sunday night after the pay-per-view for tables, ladders, and chairs. And yeah, if you want to follow that link, you can have a chance at winning that, and I can get those mailed out. Can get that mailed out to the winner as soon as possible to go along with everything. So yeah, like I said, if you want to try to win three free months of the WWE Network, it'll be right there for you. So on to Monday Night Raw. That was, like I said, was live for October 16th, 2017. This is the go-home show going into tables, ladders, and chairs. It started off with Kurt Angle basically hyping up the night and hyping up TLC, everything in that sense. He starts talking about the Shield, which brings out Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns, and they are in complete full-on Shield garb. They are back in the they're back in the vest. They're coming back out through the crowd again. They're doing the whole typical thing before you have Roman's music come out. They were basically going full on nostalgia throwback to it, and it's kind of hard to believe to say that that it's only been like a couple years. It hasn't been too many years since they've been together, and now we're calling it nostalgia. It really isn't much on that side of everything. Basically, the Shield gets their hands on the microphone, and they basically run down Miz and Strowman and all of them, and eventually calling them out. This does eventually bring all the teams out there, but Kurt Angle stops all that from any weirdness from happening beforehand, saying that their matches would be threatened for the night if they decided to attack each other then. And he also puts a no, this is actually later on. This is actually later on during Miz TV, which I'll talk about that in a few moments. So that basically ended that segment of everything there. And to be honest with you, I really did like the Shield stuff that you had all week. Well, not all week, but you know, all night. The Shield stuff that they had all night, I thought was pretty good. I thought a lot of things came out looking really good and everything in that sense, and we'll talk about all that as they come about in on my notes here. So up next, you had Elias in the ring. He is with the club, and basically this is a role reversal for everything. Usually Elias does the guitar and sings, but this time around he was just doing the guitar portion, and the club was singing. They were warming up their vocal cords. You had Carl Anderson do the Honky Tonk Man. You had basically, what was it? Luke Gallows. He was just basically calling Jason Jordan a nerd, everything to go along with that. They did this for a little bit, and this eventually brings out Jason Jordan, Apollo Crews, and Titus O'Neil. Doing their own little thing. This led to a 6-man tag, which was an okay match. Apollo Crews ended up getting the victory over Carl Anderson in this one. I thought it was a pretty decent match. So, and you are building up, I guess, Apollo Crews on this side of everything. I don't know exactly where they were going with that one. But yeah, they got Apollo Crews the victory on the show inside of the six-man tag. So Jason Jordan, Apollo Crews, and Titus O'Neil go over in the match. Like I said, it was a decent enough match. It was fine for what it was, but it was kind of just there. Yeah, it just felt like it was kind of there. You had Emma backstage. She was basically they did this interview after Emma got or not Emma, but after they showed another video package for Asuka, and you know, Emma was cutting a promo on Asuka, everything in that sense. This eventually does lead Alexa Bliss in there, and she was trying to butter up Emma and basically have her be her teammate for the night, which that's what ends up happening. She does become her teammate for the night for later in the evening, and yeah, it was a pretty decent segment. It was a pretty decent segment. So up next, you had Jack Gallagher going up against Cedric Alexander. First of all, they did a really good job. For people who aren't watching 205 Live, which I don't watch on a weekly basis, that much I admit, I don't watch it every single week, who are not familiar with what's going on with Cedric Alexander and Jack Gallagher, they put up a really good video package of what's going on. You know, hey, this is what's going on, this is why you should care, all that kind of stuff. So they did a really good job of trying to put this match over in that sense. Also, with since I don't talk about it too often, with the cruiserweight side of everything, Jack Gallagher, inside of his normal dress attire, like gentleman attire, it's actually really nice. I thought it looked really good. I think it's a really good look for him in his heel persona for his wrestling matches. I thought it was pretty good. Now, as for the match with Cedric Alexander and Jack Gallagher, you had Brian Kendrick out there, because that's how this all started off, was with Brian Kendrick and Cedric Alexander. Actually, it started more off with Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher, and it turned into Cedric Alexander down the line when Jack Gallagher turned heel. So he brought out what was his tag team partner, and they announced that they were going to have a match with Cedric Alexander, and it's going to be Rich Swann going up against Jack Gallagher and Brian Kendrick at the actual show, at the pay-per-view itself. Initially, I think they announced it as the kickoff match, but they moved it, I guess, to the main card? I don't know on that one. It's definitely an interesting one, and there was a few things that went down this week in the terms of someone else taking a leave of absence, aka Nia Jax on that one, that kind of changed everything going on. We've had that coming around over the last couple weeks. We've had some storylines kind of change on the fly based off the factor of people either leaving or they're doing this or doing that. But full on, we'll get into that either in a different video or later on into this one or something in that sense. The match with Gallagher and Cedric Alexander was a good match. Cedric Alexander goes over with a lumbar check. Thought it was really good. Up next was Miz TV, and this is basically all four of them. You had Miz, you had Cesaro and Sheamus, you had Braun Strowman eventually in there, basically running down everything that they're going to do with tables, ladders, and chairs. You have Cesaro talking with the mouthpiece in. I don't know if they're doing that intentionally. It makes them sound... I do give them at least a little bit of appreciation that he has to wear it because of the factor of what happened to him at the last pay-per-view. But I don't know if he has to necessarily talk with it. It does make him sound a little bit weird in that sense of everything. But all sides cut a promo, and you have Kurt Angle eventually come out. When Miz was saying that we're going to add another partner because they keep saying that we can beat 4, 5, 6 guys, everything in that sense. And Kurt Angle eventually comes out and says, no, we agreed to the 4-on-3, and Miz eventually goats him into it, but goats him into it a little bit. But it was going to be an added stipulation to the cage match later on that night with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, that if Strowman wins, you get a 5th guy, but if Strowman loses, he's out of the match. So, yeah, decent enough segment. I thought it was pretty good. Up next was Alicia Fox going up against Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks went over in this match in what was a pretty decent match. She goes over with a Banks statement again. They played it off that Alicia Fox is playing this whole I'm not gonna say crazy. Well, technically her gimmick is crazy, but she's almost delusional in saying is that she didn't tap out. She was trying to scratch her nose last week inside of that match. But she ends up tapping out again here. afterwards, though, you had Sasha Banks in a backstage interview, and Alicia Fox ends out attacking her and beating her down backstage, which is going to lead into another match between the two of them at TLC during the kickoff show. So this is going to be the kickoff match. Also, I think they're going to be doing something with Drew Gulak in his PowerPoint presentation, which I've seen a little bit of that with 205 Live, and I was at live for one of them as well. I like Drew Gulak. I think he's good in that sense of everything. So yeah, that's going to lead into that. And apparently the game plan was initially Sasha Banks and Nia Jax, so maybe that was going to be on the main card. But now it's kind of been squandered down to the pre-show. I don't know. I don't know if that is the case of Nia Jax taking her time off, or she got a leave of absence or something in that sense. There's a lot of rumors going around on that one, whether it's like just personal reason or if she's actually angry with her position in the company. I don't exactly know. There's not a lot of information out on that one. But yeah, that was the initial game plan, but now it looks like it's going to be Sasha Banks with Alicia Fox for at least the time being. At least the time being. So up next was the segment with Enzo. Enzo comes out. He basically starts talking about last week's match, losing the Cruiserweight title, everything in that sense. This does eventually lead Kalisto to come out. And they kind of try to have a back and forth promo. Kalisto not so good on the mic, everything in that sense. But this does eventually lead to a Enzo basically saying he essentially paid off some of the cruiserweights to be on his side. So it ended up being Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, Noam Dar, and Arya Daivari, which we had seen stuff with Arya Daivari being kind of on Enzo's side during 205 Live. But you ended up getting that a little bit more here. Mustafa Ali tries to make the saves in this sense, but it ends up being a 5-on-2 beatdown where Enzo does the eat defeat to Kalisto to end the segment, leading into their pay-per-view match for tables, ladders, and chairs. I thought it was a pretty good segment. I like Enzo's heel work. It's coming off really good. Just on the whole aspect that he continually says that he's the star. He's the star. He's the main focal point and everything. He needs to keep that cruiserweight title, and that even to the point that even though these guys don't like me, I can pay them to help me, type of fashion with it. So I thought it was a pretty good segment. So this led us to the Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Sheamus and Cesaro tag team title match. Again, they put on another really good match here. Not Sheamus and Cesaro, but Rollins and Ambrose do go over with their knee into Dirty Deeds combination. Like I said, this is again another really good match between them. These four in general, they do a good job. They do a good job in the ring, telling what story they need to do. And, yeah, they just work really well together. I did rather enjoy this match. So afterwards, you had Curtis Axel backstage. He's trying to give a pep talk to Sheamus and Cesaro. And then Braun comes in and he says, because Curtis feels like he's going to be the fifth guy on the team. Matter of fact, during the Miz TV segment when they were kind of announcing that the crowd was kind of chanting for Curtis Axel to go along with that. So he's thinking he's going to be the fifth guy, and he starts talking to Braun. It's like, I'll do anything to help you guys out. I even feel like fighting Roman Reigns. And then Braun's like, we'll go find him. Well, go find him. It's like, uh-oh. He's kind of reserved for a moment, but then decides to go looking after him. I like this segment. I thought that was pretty good. So this led, this one after this led to Finn Balor coming out, cutting another promo. Oh man, this one's either jumping the shark or has already jumped the shark with this whole, and they're not even advertising as Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. They're advertising it as the Demon versus Sister Abigail. And the Demon variation that they're going to go with this time around is going to be a more Halloween look. It has, orange and black and everything in that sense. I think it looked pretty cool, actually. But the cuts that they tried to do, they had some weird cuts in there where they were trying to have Finn go from his promo to a look of the demon kind of snarling and everything. It didn't really, it came off a little bit weird in that sense. It didn't come off as ominous as his promo was pretty ominous with everything kind of leading into what his new demon look's going to be for Sunday. So we are going to get the demon. Like I said, that's what they're advertising it as. They're advertising it as the demon versus Sister Abigail. So it'll be an interesting way of going. We didn't really get anything from Bray on this one. So yeah, still not keen on this one. Still not too keen on this one. I think the match itself will be fun, but I also feel like this screams of doing a pre-taped thing with both of these guys in these two gimmicks and everything in that sense. But that's not what we're gonna get. We're gonna get something in the ring with this one. Like I said, it kind of screams that they should be doing something pre-taped. So up next was the tag team match with Emma and Alexa Bliss going up against Mickie James and her partner. Ends up being Bayley. Kind of predictable that it was going to be Bayley. When they said it's like, oh, Mickie has to find a tag team partner. It's like, okay, it's probably going to be Bayley or Dana Brooke. Either one of those. It ends up being Bayley. And it was a decent enough tag team match. Mickie James stands tall in the end by pinning Alexa Bliss and getting the win for her and Bayley. I thought it was a decent enough match. Pretty good. Kind of says in the end, hey, Mickie won here, so she's probably not winning Sunday. At least that's what they're going with. They don't have to necessarily go with that tradition, but they can if they wish. And this did actually lead to another backstage interview with Mickie James, which I thought was actually a very good one, where she was she was getting choked up a little bit, especially when she was talking about her son and everything in that sense. I thought this was a very effective promo and everything, kind of trying to get people behind Mickie James even more going into the pay-per-view itself. It was very heartfelt type promo, and it came off really good. So, Curtis Axel, he's backstage looking for the Shield, or he's looking for Roman Reigns only, but he ends up running into all three members of the Shield. And as they cut to commercial, it's like you see the Shield, you see Curtis Axel, you see the Shield, you see Curtis Axel, and Curtis Axel's like, okay, let's do this, and starts walking towards them. And they just fade to black. So you see nothing. Miz, they eventually have Miz run into Sheamus, Cesaro, and Braun. And it's like, where's Curtis? Where is Curtis Axel? Oh, it's like, we told him, he said he would do anything for us, so we told him to go find Roman Reigns and beat him up. Oh. And Miz is like extremely worried. Eventually he does find Curtis Axel with being hung up by a forklift, with basically everything kind of torn to shreds and everything, his shirt, everything in that sense. So he gets asked, it's like, well, if he can't go Sunday, if Braun wins, who's going to be your fifth guy? And then you get the ominous thing saying, it's like, well, he was technically never our fifth guy. Though I like how Miz says that he thinks the world of Curtis Axel in that sense. But he gives the ominous saying that is like, well, he's not the fifth guy. Then who is the fifth guy? Which we find out during the main event, which was Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman in a cage match. The stipulation that they put on both the matches did not apparently stand for this one, because they did have a banning from ringside for everybody on both of these matches. But eventually, I guess not too soon into the match. This was a fun match, by the way. I really did like this match. I thought it kind of ticked a lot of different boxes. It was just a good back and forth match between the two of them. But it was also kind of, getting the sense of urgency, what like the importance of winning this match was for both sides as well. So you had Roman trying to escape the cage, trying to win the match and get rid of Braun. Sheamus and Cesaro, they break that rule, and they do come to ringside. They start attacking Roman Reigns, which brings out Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. They attack to the backstage, and eventually leave the building while Miz kind of locks them out of the building, at least from that section. So this leads us back into the ring where both of them are fighting off and everything. And it looks like Roman's about to pick up the victory, and all of a sudden the lights kind of go out, and Kane's music hits, and what does he do? What does he do? Well, he does appear from the bottom of the ring. You know what would have been really cool if they would have done a full old nod to his initial debut, and he comes out and rips off the door in that sense. But we get him from underneath the ring. He comes in, beats down Roman, couple choke slams, couple running power slams, and a tombstone later. Braun Strowman picks up the victory, and Kane is going to be the 5th man in the match with Braun, Miz, Sheamus, and Cesaro. And it led me to believe it's like, I guess Kane is not going to win the race for mayor or something in that sense. I don't know what they're going with that one, because I know that was why he was off TV, was the campaign for mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, and that's somewhere in Tennessee he was running for mayor, and yeah, I guess that race isn't going well, so he decided to come back early. I don't know, or is this like a last-ditch effort to try to get some national exposure for him going into the race? So I don't know how much that would actually work for him for his race for mayor of a city at that time. I don't know. I do not know on that side of it, but good to see Kane back. They make him come out looking very dominant, everything in that sense. You have Roman lying at the end, and basically they stand tall to finish off the show. So overall, I thought it was a pretty decent show. A little bit of like, okay, this match is kind of just here, this match is kind of just here, or something in that sense. A little bit of shuffling around, but the stuff with the Shield I thought was really good throughout the night. Shield, Miz, Sheamus, Cesaro, Braun, Kane eventually coming in. I liked the Mickie James interview later on in the night. Most of the matches were pretty good to the certain extent that they were on the air, so I thought it came off as a pretty decent show going into the actual pay-per-view itself. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I got for you guys for Monday Night Raw this week. So again, if you want to, if you obviously, well, not obviously, but if you want to try to enter in that giveaway contest that I'm doing for the WWE Network card, and there's going to be a couple other little knickknacks that go along with it as well. There will be the link down in the description. Go ahead, follow that over there for the chances at entry. In that sense, there will be, I think the winner gets picked on Sunday night at about midnight, my time, which would be Arizona time. So there will be some time to actually get something down the line there, and I am currently marathoning these reviews, so I'm gonna probably be setting up the SmackDown one right after this to go along with everything, and I'm gonna try to make a video to kind of explain a little bit more of what's going on with that giveaway to go along with everything. So with that being said, everyone, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed everything, and have a great rest of your day.